First of all, my name is Jose Castillo. I run a company called Think Jose. I write, speak, and consult about technology. Primarily, I tell my mother-in-law that I work for the CIA because it's easier than trying to explain what a geek translator is. But I spend a lot of time in the online video space. I'm also a contributing editor for Streaming Media Magazine. And I love video. I probably, in this debate, will fall more on the protecting the viewer experience side. So be prepared for some fisticuffs. Light banter. But let me take a moment and let's let our panelists introduce themselves. Let's start with Tad Rowe. Tad, tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Hi, I work for Warner Brothers Telepicture side, predominantly supporting the TV show / digital property TMZ. And I'm the head of product in the realms of the digital media department. So what we do primarily is to have the full ownership on the website, the mobile properties, and also going just in connected devices in general, since the reach is now going beyond what was originally just a website and a TV show and going beyond into the other digital platforms.
Excellent. Thank you, Tad. Barry?
My name is Barry Blumberg, and I run digital content for Alloy, and that's all of our YouTube channels, websites, social media, and the like.
Awesome. Thank you. Gerald?
Gerald Abrahamian. I run operations and product for E! Entertainment Television, and that rolls up into E! Online, the mobile websites. We've got about 6 or 7 apps out in the marketplace. Our flagship app of E! Online and Live from the Red Carpet, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, which you guys probably all know about, all the video distribution to the likes of YouTube, Hulu, iTunes, and so all product and operations roll up into me.
Excellent, thank you. And Jonathan?
I'm Jonathan Wilner. I lead product marketing for Ooyala. We're a 5-year-old Silicon Valley-based company that works with some of the largest video content providers in the world, like ESPN and Bloomberg and Telstra in Australia. I'm in charge of all of our product roadmap, product strategy, and product positioning and pricing. I've been with the company a little over a year and a half. I joined from Fox previously, where in other roles I was the GM of the video business for the Fox Audience Network and the CTO of FoxSports.com.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I'd like to start off with a little bit on the viewer side. What are viewers want? What do they want right now? What are the things that they're consuming that they really, really strongly desire? And then we'll talk a little bit about, how we're monetizing that, and then a little bit of the balance of that. So what is it that viewers are clamoring for right now? What is it that's really hot?
For us, it's Kardashians. I think, we're just looking at the stats and just can't get enough of that kind of content. It's interesting that once we have a few clips up, we don't do long form in the web or mobile space unless you're authenticated, but they're just looking for snippets, and any amount of content that you give to them, they'll just eat it up.
So what are some of the platforms that you're seeing the most traffic on, people consuming this content on devices?
Yeah, we're just seeing it across the board. Interestingly, we're not seeing too much, you thought that, okay, well, everybody's moving to mobile, but overall, we're seeing growth in all platforms across the board. So web, mobile, even our syndicated businesses, we're seeing a lot more viewership from YouTube to AOL is a big partner of ours. And you're just seeing more and more consumption of video, which is great, and that's what we're definitely looking forward to.
Awesome. What else are we seeing viewers clamor for?
Sort of in conjunction with Gerald's statement on sort of the short form content, we also see a lot of that on the TMZ side, where obviously anytime a celebrity behaves badly, we catch it on tape. The consumption is on bite-sized content. So most of what we offer in that form of content is like a minute or less type of content. And even if we do it for mobile platforms, we look at our long-form content and then break that down into clips so that we can actually monetize that a little bit in a better fashion, so you have more of that can be consumed. And with the mobile devices out there, most of the time people are on the go and wanting to get their breaking news immediately so they can have short form, sort of something that they can view very quickly. So we see a lot of that happening in the growth of that area as well.
What would you see the breakout of mobile versus web or desktop?
We're seeing, I think towards the end of this year, we're going to see a crisscross with mobile consumption on, video consumption on mobile versus desktop. With the tablets out there now and even the 7-inch and 10-inch tablets coming to market, we're slowly seeing that climb, and we were expecting by Q4 to see a crisscross when it comes to video consumption on mobile.
Excellent. Great. Barry, what do customers want? What do they want to see?
Well, we serve mostly the younger segment of the audience, so that's 18 to 34-year-olds, and some of our sites actually concentrate on the 12 to 17 and 12 to 24-year-old demographics. And what our audience is looking for is the content that they want, that they've elected to view or to subscribe to or to be a follower of. They want it on any device. They want it available to them on most of the platforms that they go to, and they want to have a seamless viewing experience. And so I think that the most frustrating experience is to have something that you're looking for and you can't get it on your tablet because there's not an iOS app for it, or you can't get it on your phone because the website doesn't quite work that way. And what's frustrating to us as a producer of content is that, as we said, there's a big shift to mobile viewing. A lot of people are watching programming on their phones and on their tablets. And, the monetization solutions for those devices are not, if we thought that advertising for digital content is not keeping up with traditional media, the ad revenues for mobile content are nil relative to what you get on traditional desktop platforms. And that's a real struggle for us, seeing where our audience is going and trying to get it paid for.
Gotcha. Jonathan,
Yeah.
what do viewers want?
I think I'd hammer on the same point, which is, that obviously it's driven by the type of content that each person has. We have a little bit of a different view because we're a provider for a lot of different folks, that some do short form, some do long form. I think they increasingly, I would echo, that they want to have a personalized experience, and they want to have a discovery experience that is that helps them find exactly what they may explicitly be looking for or what's suggested to them. And so it's important that when they have that start screen, especially on a mobile device where you don't have as great a ubiquitous environment, that start screen is nailed so that it's populated with things that are very interesting right off the bat. That said, we're seeing a big growth towards longer form content, that as especially people adopt in our video index, where we sort of take an anonymized survey of all of our video viewing across the world. We get somewhere north of 100 million plus uniques a month across the world. We have a real interesting pipe in there. We're seeing a lot of long form viewing on tablets in particular. It's coming not as a second screen, but as a first screen. It's a first screen which creates sort of, I think in terms of the topic of the panel, the opportunity to have a good balance between content and ads, because it's not a 30 or 45 second show where I'm not going to watch a 15-second spot to watch my 30-second clip.
Exactly. So if we know a little bit about what viewers are wanting, people who are content providers and people that own content, what are they looking to get the return out of, and what things are working on the monetization side? Are there things that are working, and if so, what are those things?
Yeah, what we're seeing, obviously, there's a bunch of people up here who have dual revenue streams. We're certainly seeing that it's been great, the growth of authentication in the last year, and that's not just here with TV Everywhere, but it's in lots of other places in the world, that you actually do have the same, it's not as good, it's not there yet, but you have an affiliate and an ad revenue stream, which is making a lot of things possible. So we're seeing really premium content come online that's also then ad supported, and we're really seeing people who are focused on engagement metrics. So what they want to track is how long, if the person's going to watch a 10 or 20-minute show, how long can we keep them engaged watching it? What's the max number of spots that we can put in there. So how many breaks can you run? How many ads in the break can you run? And how do you measure the overall engagement to make sure that they watch through the whole video, that you put exactly the right amount and kind in order to not get viewer tune out. And I think that's where I'd say video is actually stronger than display when it comes to mobile, because with display you can block it or kind of click it away. With video, we can measure the whole experience and see exactly what works to keep people watching the spots and the content.
Is there a breaking point for the paid content along with ads? I mean, are we seeing the viewers who are, I know that they're paying for the content and then also getting ads. Is there a breaking point for that? Are people, still okay with that? Are people upset about that from the viewer side?
I mean, we can probably, a lot of folks on the panel could have here, but I think as we see things like the move to C3 ratings, right? At least where we're seeing the data, people are accepting of higher ad loads, even if they're also paying for access to it through authentication. They want to watch great shows, and if you can put great content on there, I think people are willing to make the trade.
Gotcha. What are some of the monetization success stories, or the things that are working for you guys and on the content side that are generating revenue? And if so, what are they?
For us, it's experience. From a product rollout, we're making sure that it's cohesive, whether it be on online or the mobile space, that we're really truly serving the brand and the content around the brand in all ways. And I think that branded experience, people are taking to it, and we're finding that selling a brand is a lot easier than just a run of site or run of network kind of thing. So everything that we try to do is high value. We create high value content, and we want high value advertisers to be associated with that, and that goes across all the platforms, and that's what we're trying to seek.
This is an audience that has anybody ever heard of Smosh? So, Smosh.
Be passionate. Thank
Smosh
you. Yes.
Smosh is one of our brands, and we produced a video for Ubisoft on Friday for the launch of their Assassin's Creed video today. It was custom content. It was a rap video that was a completely immersive experience of the game. We did about 2.5 million video views on YouTube alone on that video in 3 days. Probably had 100,000 likes on that video in 3 days. Probably did, 500,000 to 1 million impressions on Facebook posts, and another several million on Twitter. It was the #1 song in comedy on iTunes over the weekend. And so, for us, it's a great experience because it was an opportunity for us to create a great video with an advertiser that was good for our audience. And for the advertiser, it was a great experience because, they got the association with a brand that's very powerful. Smosh is the third most subscribed to channel on YouTube with 5.5 million subscribers. It probably does 100 million video views on YouTube alone every month, and another 20 or 30 million on the website. So, it was a great success and a good case study for us to look at about what works with an advertiser. That said, you can't do a branded video every week. Our audience, whether it's on Clever or Smosh or Girl.com or Teen.com, they accept it to some degree when the content is good. But where the monetization breaks down and the partnerships with advertisers break down is sort of the day in and day out trying to figure out. And we produce endemic content for the digital space, right? Most of what I'm talking about is not television content or higher end content that is getting its second or third or fourth window in the digital space. And so, I think that it is coming around, but the experience for the advertiser, for the content creator, and for the audience is still not optimized. And the greatest struggle with that, from our point of view, the Smosh brand, for example, really started on YouTube, as did our Clever brand. Has anybody heard of Clever? Clever is the number one source for entertainment news and pop culture for a younger audience in the digital space. And our audience knows it well. But these are endemic digital brands, and especially with Smosh, which is 5 or 6 years old now, it launched in an environment on YouTube where it was generating millions of video views and gaining an audience with no advertising. So our audience was used to this pure experience, and as advertisements, whether they were pre-rolls or mid-rolls or overlays or branded videos, when they started seeing them, they were reluctant to accept it, and they're just starting to come around. So it's moving in the right direction.
How do you tell they're reluctant?
That's a great question.
So we measure reluctance by video views. We measure reluctance. We have a very vocal audience, and so "fuck you, you fucking sellouts" is a typical comment that we'll see. But and we used to get that a lot more than we get it today, and we probably do a branded video a month with the Smosh brand, for example. But the Assassin's Creed video from Friday probably had, I'm making this up, but somebody can check it, 100,000 likes and 500 dislikes. So, that is turning the corner. But reluctant to accept is that we can also look at the viewer curve and see that they're not watching. True View has helped a lot on YouTube.
Yep.
It's a better experience for the audience. Sometimes when True View is really effective, we get, I liked the ad better than the video.
Well, that seems to be another issue, is that advertisers, it's no longer easy to just say, let me just buy a bulk of content to put a 30-second spot in, when the real engagement comes from, let's spend a lot of time to really create something thoughtful and that the audience is going to go, yeah, this is cool, we want to share this, as opposed to, just plugging in a 30-second spot that we've already developed. Tad, tell us a little bit about what are some of the things that are making money, that are working.
So, all of our content is predominantly it's not premium content. So what we have to offer is just free to the public. But we're definitely still in experimentation phase. A lot of looking at analytics and trying to understand our analytics on everything from the length of our videos to even segment points within the video timestamps where people drop off, and paying attention to those type of metrics. A lot of it, we do run pre-rolls in front of the majority of our videos, whether it's on the web or mobile or tablet platforms. And a lot of it is really for us just optimizing the experience from a viewership standpoint, and where we have the exposure to that on our website or within the applications that we have in our mobile apps. We've done a lot with companion ads, though. When we do approach our advertisers, we do sell the pre-roll spots with a companion ad to go along with the pre-roll. So our opportunities, we try to expand that. It's really within the product presentation on the page or the category that they're on, that we'll be able to give them the pre-roll spot, obviously in the video, and then we also have a companion ad to go along with it. So that seems to be working, and for us, we're also all continually trying to seek out how that sparks the interest in sponsorship. So when we do have campaign takeovers for our website, part of the package for us is to be able to offer the companion ad and with the pre-roll spots going into the video section. So, do
you get colorful comments like Barry said on your?
We just added video comments to our player, and that is in form of actually through the social net. So we're using Facebook comments to go along with our videos. We do have a very vocal audience as well, and we do have some of the same sort of responses as Barry said. But I think overall, we're still, one of the tricks with the video comments for us is we have our player roll right into the next video. So if a viewer has selected to watch one video, we try to streamline the entire process so there's no breaks in between, and just slamming them with content, whether it's related or on topical with what they just watched. And some of the video comments, they have a window, if you will, to leave in comments, and we just try to capture that enough before we switch to the next. So we're still kind of playing around with how that's going to work overall for feedback.
One thing I've noticed, this is just an aside, is Facebook comments and some of the other comments that are at least a little non-anonymous a little bit, you tend to have a little less, hate and epithets being thrown around when it's actually tied into your personal Facebook account. I tend to see.
Yeah.
You don't see that at all?
No. Our audience is incredibly vocal and doesn't need to be anonymous in their expression.
Excellent. I love it. Fantastic. Let's talk about...
They're young.
They're young, yeah.
They have a record now.
YOLO, right? YOLO. You only live once. So let's talk a little bit about balancing those two things. We have obviously very passionate viewers that want to see the content. How are we able to balance giving them what they need, but still obviously, making our nut, following the bottom line? We have to be profitable. So maybe some success stories or stories that have fallen flat of balancing that tricky line between giving viewers what they want and actually generating revenue.
Yeah, I think for us, we have short form content, and what we found is that we've got to definitely balance the experience. We rarely accept 30-second spots. In the digital space, we want 15-second spots. We don't overload individuals, and we've seen that, a success out of that, meaning you're getting more than 3 or 4 video views per session. So that's really what we want to target, that balance. We've seen that when we crank up the ads, our numbers go down, and it's just a lot of saying no or maybe to our ad sales folks or traffic folks. That we want to keep that balance. We feel that we'll make more if we have more video views. So at the end of the day, that's our goal. How do we increase? So we definitely have that viewer mindset of balancing the number of ads out there.
Do you have a rough formula for that you use for your type of content? Like 15 seconds for every however many minutes?
It's about every 3.
Okay.
Every 3 videos. Sometimes we have people that come in and watch. We have just a digital only video segment called eNews Now. And that's, could be anywhere from 60 seconds to 90 seconds. And at the end of the day, it's, we don't look at the full viewer, but we look at the number of videos they're watching. So about 3 is enough.
So for 3 60 to 90 second clips, they'll watch one 15-second ad.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Copy that.
Yeah, we've seen, people just want to consume more if you give them the time. I think the other thing is the balance of understanding where they are. If they're on the mobile platform, we manage that a little bit more because of connectivity, speed. One thing I'm definitely trying to look at and balance is, trying to understand the connectivity speed. If it's a slower connectivity speed, probably serving less ads because, I think the more ads they see, the more drop-off you're going to find. And then on the online space where connectivity speeds are higher, I think we could ratchet it up if we need to. But I'm really waiting for technology to come in, LTE, 4G on the mobile side, so we can balance that a little bit more on the mobile area. So,
what else is working? Success stories or non-success stories in balancing this?
I mean, I think the thing is we really focus on real-time analytics and being able to drive a lot of testing. So we work with a lot of our customers to do pretty detailed testing and experiments and allowing them to change up to do A/B testing or more complicated testing that varies up what the ad load is, that varies up as I said, the number of breaks and then how many spots are in the break, to be able to then track that back against engagement. So we do a lot of testing on behalf of that, and we actually then use that to drive the content recommendation, sort of machine learning engines that we have that actually can automate. We see with this type of content, in this type of time frame, on this device, in this bandwidth, that put in this many breaks and run this many spots. And then we're adding in potential. It is how valuable are those and what time. And I think the story that I would actually use is We've worked pretty closely with a customer of ours called Iroko. They're the largest broadcaster provider of West African content, Nollywood content, not to Africa, but from Africa to a West African diaspora around the world. They're a great example. They do unbelievable volumes of content. It's a great niche that has fans all over the world. They produce the second most movies in the world after Bollywood. What we worked with them to figure out, they wanted to put a subscription product in. By using our testing, we were able to identify, and we continually are able to move it around, how many free movies they get that are ad-supported and when they get prompted for a paywall or subscription. And that's allowed them both to optimize the amount of revenue that they get on the ad-supported side, as well as to capture viewers that are willing to pay. So they could use data to identify who their best customers were and lock them in on both ads and subscription.
So it's actually saying, oh, this person watched 2 free movies, so we know that now they're willing to actually pay for a third movie.
Exactly, like on the and tracking on whether or not when we offered, right, sign up to get the subscription package, did they close? You know, and how did that work backwards based on the number of ad-supported programs that they'd seen before? So we can start to segment buckets of most likely users and figure out where to put the subscription wall, how many ads to put in, as well as also then to feed back into what type of content should they license and program, so that some stuff works better to get people to sign up and some stuff works better to be watched with free ads, with ad supported.
Gotcha. Barry?
I mean, I think what we really find is that the appropriateness of the advertisement to the advertiser that comes in makes the viewer experience better or worse. We've been plagued with an election ad, some guy who grew up in a socialist country. I don't know if you've seen it because it's all over the internet, but it's wildly inappropriate for our audience, and it's just there constantly. And our audience doesn't like it. We see it in the comments. And I don't think that it is really paying for itself with the advertiser. Conversely, when we get a product that is appropriate for our audience, that is providing goods or services that they have an affinity for, it's a much stronger experience, and there's much less rejection of the product. And the big win is when we do a larger sort of tentpole branded series, whether it's 10 episodes sponsored by Xbox, which we have running right now across the internet, called Chasing with DJ Steve Aoki, or like the Assassin's Creed video that we're discussing. Our audience really embraces that because Xbox or Assassin's Creed are appropriate products, and therefore the brand really resonates for them.
And that's just, again, hammering home that the content matters, and then the partnership with the appropriate advertiser really matters as well. That makes a huge difference. What about you, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a similar. I mean, we're very wary of the content relationship with the advertisers because we have a lot of racy material that we do portray in our video and in our content in itself. Just recently we had I think it was a Chris Brown DUI top story that was, pegged to the top of our videos and site, and we were running a Smirnoff ad, so that didn't really mesh very well. So those are the situations that we have to be conscious of constantly, and to keep the relationship with a sponsor and advertiser intact. We just have the ability through our players, our video players, and our platform that we use, the ability to kind of have mature ratings and really being able to select those things on the fly. So
the advertiser didn't like that?
They might have liked that.
Yeah.
They may, I don't know.
The biggest day on the traffic side, I don't know.
Yeah.
That would have been interesting
like
to measure
win-win.
that and see what the response was. Well, I'd like to leave a little time for questions, so if we can get the microphone run out here. And while we're doing that, how many folks do we have in here that are on the content side, creating content? Raise them up high so I can see them. Okay, good, quite a few of you. And what about those that are on the technology side, providing platforms, networks? Okay, good. About half and half, excellent. And I'm sure there's some other folks sprinkled in there as well. I'd like to open it up for questions if you guys have some specific questions for the panelists up here. Who's got a question? This lady right up here.
Run.
No pressure. This isn't like
It's amazing.
we're testing AV
Elizabeth,
guys.
Edge Music Network. We're a platform for distribution for premium content play with all the major labels, et cetera. But my question to you guys was we're also doing some unique just Edge Music content. So we'll be producing our own content with, including product placement within that content. And what you were saying, Gerald?
Gerald, yeah.
Gerald, was that you only play every every once in a while you'll do a product play or whatnot. Is there a specific analytic database you're using that says that that's kind of the rule right now, or is that your guys' only guess? Or
No, we've we've been in the video space for a while, so
Right.
that's been, you could see the numbers dwindle once you spike up the numbers of ads actually serving through. So we've actually seen it time and time again that if we increase the ad load, viewership goes down. If we decrease it and just go to one ad for every 5, 3 to 4 is our sweet spot.
But are you going to start doing a lot more targeted marketing with ads within the content itself? Is there going to be a move towards?
No, we
that,
look at
or-
it. We actually we're a dual animal in that we're an entertainment news site, but we also have a cable network. So when you look at E-Online, we've got the news organization, and we've got to be very careful with the news organization in terms of the credibility. You may find that, okay, well, it's entertainment news, it's about the Kardashians, credibility, where's that? But, our editorial team feels that there's got to be this balance. So we have a show called Live from E, that's a daily show, and when we did the initial sponsorship of that, we were very careful in the products that were in there that it's not the news team that's talking about the product, it's someone that's not part of that news team. So there's this balance that we have to play. And then in terms of on the TV side, some of the shows and the content is created, in advance, and so we don't have the opportunity to inject an advertiser. We do have digital-only pieces, but we're balancing that because of the talent, the relations, and the association. So you have to be very careful with that. So we feel that it's better to find that right advertiser with the right product, and that takes time.
Is the ultimate goal for you to drive people to actually go back and watch the full-length show on cable, or what's the ultimate goal?
Yeah, I think the goal is still at the end of the day, we have more value on the television side.
Gotcha.
And if we can create that value of driving people to watch the full show on the network, we'll make a lot more money than we will in the digital space. Unfortunately, digital is still in its infancy, and even on the long form side, you're not going to see the same numbers that you do on the television network. So, we feel like if we could create the better experience, at the end of the day, the mothership of our cable network will make more money, and we'll seek the rewards. And we, as a digital organization, have to seek that balance, and we push back a lot of times to make sure that we're balancing that viewer and what they're getting, and create a great user experience. If we create a great user experience, people will come back.
Yeah. Excellent. Another question.
Quick follow-up on that. When do you consider it a failure due to advertising? Do they drop during the ad? Do they drop within a certain time of the video after the ad? What do you consider a failure because of the advertising, not because of the video?
I think it's the ADD of the viewer. It's not about they move on to the next thing. In the digital space, they're done with that and they want to move on to the next piece of content. Let me go somewhere else. Yeah.
So it's probably as soon as the ad starts, or if an ad starts and they click away, is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's really when the ad starts.
Okay.
They'll see the pre-roll, watch several videos, go around the site, and in our case, what we've also seen is people come to E-Online, they go to TMZ, and then they'll go to People, and they'll watch the same video, the same thing, but a different take. And there's only so much consumption you can do. So, and part of that's why, when you're looking at the mobile space, they have a very little, they have little time. So they're at a bus stop, they're going to watch a couple things, read a couple things, move on, and quickly move on.
Cool.
When they're at work, it's a different thing.
There's a question right up here in the front.
Yeah.
Oh, sir.
Yep. So I just wanted to know, just curious from you guys in terms of revenue stream and monetization, have you guys seen anything else outside of advertising, which I know is something that's growing, for a way to monetize, e-commerce or anything else like that, where it's sort of creative out of the box thinking in terms of monetization?
Well, I mean, we have a lot of e-commerce associated with some of our brands. Smosh in particular, sells a lot of merchandise. We sell a lot of music on iTunes. We sell apps. We're sort of looking at the next phase of what monetization is, where there's brand engagement for a brand like Clever, or a brand like Smosh, or a brand like Crushable, where our audience spends a lot of time with us on a daily basis, and to reward that audience via a gamification scenario where people really want to be associated with our brands. And I'm still, my head still explodes when I think about this, but that people spend money on virtual goods in order to have status on a website or in an environment. But we're exploring that as an opportunity. What we haven't done is ask people to pay for the content that we traditionally give them for free. So that's a huge hurdle for us, and we haven't gotten to the place where a subscription model or a pay-per-view model would make sense yet.
Here, and then there's one up here next.
Do you find that a negative ad affects you more than a bad TV ad would affect a television show, where a person just watching general TV seeing an ad that they didn't care for, who cares, because that's just on regular television. But if it's on your group and it's like you were mentioning the ad earlier, that it would upset your viewer more so to switch to someplace else, and where you might want more input of what you're showing as an ad on your product.
Digital is a different animal than television. I think that because of the way that sort of the internet has evolved, people expect a much more personal experience, and television is a very one-way medium. There's a broadcaster that puts stuff on, and they're blameless. In this environment, I think that whether it's hosts on some of our programs or the Smosh guys or whatever, that our audience can literally reach out and touch them. They can engage them in conversation. They are much more accessible, and so it is much more personal, and there is a negative halo effect when you do something to them that they don't like. It takes a while for them to come back.
There's one question up here.
I actually came in a little late to this session, so you may have covered this. Let me know. So, two questions. One, in the pre-roll that people don't skip, are you guys seeing common threads of what types of creative accomplishes that? And the second question is, do you guys spend a lot of time using the social data around the videos to drive creative content decisions?
So, the first part of the question is that, sticking a television 30-second pre-roll is sometimes okay, because a lot of advertisers, if you watch ads on television, have adopted this video or online model of using talent from YouTube, or doing these short bits, or having funny cats in their videos in order to produce ads that are more forward leaning, I guess. So when ads come up that are entertainment, or ads come up that are or that appear as if they could be of the environment, I think that there's more engagement than with sticking a traditional 30-second television spot in front of a video. The second part of it is, because we started very small on a lot of our brands, we live in the comments. We live on Twitter. We live on Facebook. So we are constantly listening to our audience. And, while it is anecdotal, those loud voices, I think, speak for the largest part of the audience. And so for every negative comment that we get where somebody says that, fuck you, you fucking sellouts, we know that there's 100 other people, that are thinking that. And so we really use it to inform how we program and what advertisers we work with and how we, go forward to create that balance that this panel is all about, which is, user experience and monetization.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple different things that are going on. I think number one, I think the pre-roll should not be sacrosanct. And I think that it is sacrosanct when you're only playing, if you're playing a 2-minute clip, you don't have room for the mid-roll. I think what we'll see as we're moving towards more of a regular television experience that's online, then I think that you'll see increasingly the opportunity to move away from the interruptive pre-roll and to have a better TV experience that integrates in a spot that's in the commercial. And I think all the things are important with creative. One thing that we've seen with ESPN is actually it's really boring and it's really it's technical, but the faster that you load the pre-roll, the more likely it is that people watch. We had incredible improvements when ESPN came online. We do all of their highlights. That the faster we can get the pre-roll playing, running, the person watches it, and into their sports highlight, the more they watch it. If it sits and it churns through 3 different ad networks and it whirs around, you're going to lose the person, and that's a factor that I don't think that people take a look at. We're also seeing that happen in that on the mobile side, making it seamless that when the ad runs, it should play just like television. It shouldn't do something funny with your browser and spin around and wait for the ad network to play. The more seamless you can make it, then obviously you want great creative, but just the basics of having a good experience, we see really keeps people sticking around largely independent of what the spot content actually is.
That's an excellent point. I agree totally. I think that's something a lot of people forget is just the basics of, hey, serve it up well, and people are going to probably be more inclined to watch it. Another question, maybe time for one more question. Right here.
Maybe I missed this nuance. I'm Mary Intel. How are you doing? But you guys have been talking about the move from web to mobile, but you're not talking about mobile apps. You're talking about mobile browsing. Is that right? And if that is the right way to listen to it, then what is your take on applications versus mobile surfing?
Good question.
When I look at mobile, I try not to differentiate between mobile web and mobile app. We have probably, when you look at our audience, equal weighting. When we launch our updates or new apps, we still see that balance of people. I think there's people that surf the mobile web and there are people that like their apps. The apps provide a little bit more structured environment to actually serve faster, but we're trying to get that on the mobile web as well. I think at the end of the day, app versus web, we're not sure yet, but people want both. People want the content, and our goal is to, as Jonathan said, make it seamless. So you don't get a different experience on mobile web and an app in terms of the quality and the speed. So that's our goal at the end of the day.
We do the exact same thing. I mean, it's a very blurry line between mobile apps and mobile site. With building our mobile site in HTML5, we also looked from our app sense, building those in the same HTML5 with a wrapper on it to basically appify the elements of some of the feature functionalities of a phone device. But so it's a very similar experience. So when I talk numbers as far as our video consumption, it's synonymous. I mean, we see about an equal metric on both mobile site and mobile apps, and we have one in the iOS and one in the Android market. But I think when it comes to connection speeds and the devices, the multitude of devices out there, one of the things that we are experimenting with is from the mobile website is I mean, we're working with a partner, our Limelight partner from an agile, you're using an accelerator to be able to help load things a little bit quicker on the site. Video and viewing video is actually accelerated. So we're playing around with some other areas of trying to get the viewer to be able to consume the content very quickly, because you do have to capture their attention. Just like Gerald was saying, you got about a minute or less to catch their attention on something, because they could be in between commuting, or they're just doing something very quickly where they want to catch a video view. And we also do see sort of oddly the same thing, a three video rule on content that is less than 15 seconds for us. We do the exact same thing. I think 3 is the magic number. We actually try to catch 3 video views and then pop a pre-roll, first the short form, and then if it's anything longer than that, we'll try and pop a pre-roll before that. So that's sort of throughout both mobile apps and the mobile site.
Excellent. Thank you so much for all your questions, and thank you again to Tad, Barry, Gerald, and Jonathan.